All right, welcome to the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger joined by Cyrus Saatsaz, little Warriors Lakers Game 3 preview. Man, what a series so far. The Lakers take Game 1 in San Francisco. 5-point win by the Lakers. Warriors come back and beat them by 27 in Game 2, 127-100. It sets up tonight's game number 3, and with us to break it all down, Saatsaz from Locked On Warriors. Locked On Warriors, and the Warriors defense was locked on Anthony Davis in game number 2, and I guess that's that. Why don't we start right there, Cy? That's kind of where this series starts. You know, which is the real Anthony Davis, the guy who destroyed the Warriors in Game 1 for 30 points with 23 rebounds, or the guy who at times was kind of erased in Game 2. He had 11 points. He picked up just 7 rebounds. Draymond Green did an incredible job defending Anthony Davis. What are we going to see in Game 3 from AD?
So much of this comes down to what the officials allow. Draymond Green has proven for nearly a decade that he can handle Anthony Davis. Going back to those early matchups when he was with the Pelicans, and Steph, for example, had that one infamous 3-point shot that tied the game. I think it was like in Game 4 against the Pelicans in a buzzer beater. There's been history between the Warriors and Anthony Davis, and more specifically Draymond Green. And Draymond can handle it, man. I mean, Draymond is a player that drives Anthony Davis insane, but we didn't see that as much in Game 1, at least not as much as we probably should have, for 2 reasons. One, Kerr wanted to test out Kevon Looney and see how he could handle Anthony Davis so that Draymond wasn't assigned to him for an entire game, thus wearing him down, and thus putting him in the position he was in Game 1, which is foul trouble. The referees were blowing that whistle on Draymond a lot. Draymond talked about that after the game, saying he never found his rhythm and that the foul trouble took him out of the mental space he needed to achieve success. But when the refs are not putting Draymond Green in foul trouble, dude, he is effective on Anthony Davis, just like he is with every big in the NBA who isn't named Joel Embiid. So as long as the referees stay out of the way and as long as Draymond Green stays out of foul trouble, he's going to handle Anthony Davis like he always has in his entire career.
It's a really interesting chess match going back and forth in this one. Steve Kerr, I thought, made a fantastic adjustment prior to Game 2. He started JaMychal Green over Kevon Looney. Now, they cited Looney's illness as the reason, but it sure was timely because it allowed the Warriors to kind of space the floor without sacrificing size. And if they had started Jordan Poole, they would space the floor, but they would sacrifice size. To go with JaMychal Green, you got both, right? You got the floor spacing that you wanted, but you still stayed big. How key was that adjustment to the Warriors winning Game 2?
I thought it was huge. First of all, like, are you confirming that? Because I actually didn't hear this, so maybe you're enlightening me. Did they say that JaMychal Green started because of Looney's illness, or is that just kind of what you're assuming?
No, I'm just assuming that.
Because I honestly believe that they would have done that regardless. I mean, we still don't know at the time of this taping what Looney's illness was, but I honestly believe that was done by design, and that the Looney illness just happened to coincide with it as well. And let's hope Looney's okay. By the way, I mean he seemed okay enough in those 11 minutes in Game 2. But look, Looney is not built for every series, right? I mean, the playoffs are all about matchups, and Kevon Looney, like last year in the first round against the Nuggets, was getting destroyed by Nikola Jokic. And so Kerr made an adjustment fast there after Game 1, where he went small. We saw Jordan Poole starting. And in this series, the adjustment was, let's bring JaMychal Green in. This is someone who, I mean, you followed his career. I followed his career. He's a great basketball player. It's just he's had this wrist injury that's been bothering him for 2 years, and until last year, his 3-point shooting was very impressive. I think he was like a 39% career 3-point shooter, and then he's had this wrist injury, and so that number's gone down a little bit the last 2 years. But he's still a great 3-point shooter, as evident by game 2. He was 3 for 6 from beyond the arc, the 50%. He outscored Anthony Davis in his 12 minutes and change, outscoring him 15-11. I thought it was an awesome move. I've been, hounding Kerr for this entire postseason to either implement JaMychal Green and or implement Jonathan Kuminga, just because you have no size without him. You look at all the other teams that won titles, and there was always at least 1, 6, 7, 6, 8, if not 2 or 3 coming off the bench, players of that size who were helping out, whether it's an Otto Porter Jr., Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston, David West. I mean, Nemanja Bjelica was playing important minutes last year. So, and we haven't seen that. Like those guys were replaced with Dante DiVincenzo, who's 6'4", Gary Payne II, who's 6'3". So I've personally been clamoring for it. It's like it's a recipe for success. It's a recipe that you didn't see much of in the Sacramento series. I feel like that series would have been a lot easier if they brought some more size in, whether it's JaMychal or Kuminga. And thankfully, Kerr did it, and I give him his props for that. He played JaMychal enough minutes, and it's a difference. I mean, it's such a fundamental thing. Like, there's a reason why small ball is not practiced and exercised at the high school levels, at the college levels, and nearly every level of the NBA. But the Warriors, Don Nelson was doing it for years, decades. It didn't work then. It works if you have like Stephen Curry and Clay and Draymond at their absolute peak of their powers. But otherwise, basketball is a sport where you need size, and it's just weird that like I'm like crying yelling to the skies, like for Kerr to use some size in there, because it makes a difference. It challenges shots. You get easier baskets. You get easier rebounds. So I'm stoked, man. And honestly, JaMychal Green is a solid basketball player. Like, you can't look at his regular season and cast judgment on him for that, just because he had that leg infection. He had another injury. He had COVID. He was fitting into a new system. Kerr had like a really short leash with him, just like he did with a lot of other players off the bench this year. But I'm happy that he's being rewarded, and I'm happy we're seeing him, man, because I think he's a huge difference maker.
And he couldn't get on the floor in that Sacramento series because of the speed of the Kings guards and how fast they play. But against Jared Vanderbilt, when with a Laker team that's got Vanderbilt out there, you can play JaMychal. Now the question is, how does Darvin Ham respond? I mean, is it possible that Darvin Ham swaps out Vanderbilt in the starting lineup for, Dennis Schroeder? Or will he find a different way to attack JaMychal Green in Game 3? What's the adjustment, you think, from Game 2 to Game 3 to counter Kerr's move there with JaMychal Green?
Yeah, you can only make adjustments depending on your personnel. I honestly don't know if the Lakers have the personnel to make any serious adjustments. The Dennis Schroeder thing, I thought Stephen Curry figured him out in Game 2. Like, I don't know if you noticed as well. Like, Steph in Game 1 got a little flustered because Schroeder's like he's pesky, man. He gets his hands in there. He's fast. He can be an annoyance. And you saw Steph a little bothered by that in Game 1. I thought, not in Game 2. By Game 2, I saw Stephen Curry not bothered at all. His adjustment was, you're going to double team me? I have a lot of other players on this team who could score on you, and we saw those 12 assists. What I think the Laker fan base wants, and I don't blame them for wanting this, is to see maybe more Malik Monk. I mean, this is a player the team acquired, one of the many players they acquired in trades this year, like great trades. They got Vanderbilt. They got Rory Hachimura, who had a great Game 2, by the way. If he wasn't 4 for 6 from beyond the arc, 8 of 14 from the field. I mean, Hachimura put up 21 points. If he didn't do that, this could have been like a 40-point game. I mean, it would have been an absolute blowout. So I think that what the Lakers could do, and I honestly think what they need to try to do, is implement Malik Beasley so you can space that floor, because they don't have a lot of shooters, man. Austin Reeves, to me, is a good player. He's not a great player. Borderline overhyped. I mean, like I hear all the talk about him and like how he might get a huge contract this offseason. I'm like, Austin Reeves, I mean, he's okay, but you saw what Austin Reeves is in Game 2. He scored 7 points. He was 1 for 5 from beyond the arc. I don't think he's a great player by any means. He's okay. He's good. He's serviceable, but he's a role player. At best, he's a glorified role player. That's where I think the Lakers need to make adjustments. They need to get players in there who can shoot consistently, and who can also play defense consistently. You need two-way players, and neither Reeves or D'Angelo Russell are that. So I think Malik Beasley can be someone who can give you shooting and more athleticism. I'm really surprised Lonnie Walker IV, a player that they use their mid-level exception on to acquire. I'm surprised he's out of the rotation, because he's like this longer, taller wing whose shooting can be inconsistent, but when it's on, it's on. But honestly, man, when we came into this series, you and I both predicted the Warriors. I said Warriors in 5 or 6. I see the Warriors as just being a much better team in terms of talent and personnel. I don't think the Lakers can do much, in all honesty. I mean, they might win one more game in this series just because you got LeBron James, you got Anthony Davis. You do have a deep, big bench, but I don't think they have the shooting and the offense that can ultimately match up and keep up with the Warriors. So that's me.
Will Ham do what he did in game two? I mean, they doubled Curry a lot in game two, and he passed out of it. He found open cutters going to the rim. I thought Draymond Green was very physical with Anthony Davis. I mean, he really pushed him out of the lane pretty consistently.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to see the Lakers take more chances and go one-on-one with Curry, and try to get Davis some early touches, and so he can try to be a little bit more like game one AD than what we saw in game two? What's Darvin Ham's counter going into game three?
I think have one? You're going to see closer games. It's like the Warriors won game 2 by 27. They lost game 1 by 5. So I mean, the Warriors are winning the differential battle in this series, but you're going to see way closer games in games 3 and 4, just because those same role players that struggled for the Lakers, whether it's Austin Reeves, whether it's Dennis Schroeder, who only scored 4 points in game 2, he was 0 for 3 from the field. All of his points came from free throws. Whether it's other players like Wendy and Gabriel, who scored nothing. I mean, he's in there mostly for size, but these role players will play a lot better. That's what role players do. They struggle in road games and they play great at home. That's a huge reason why the Warriors have this awful road record this year, 11-30, is because their bench sucks. So every time they went on the road, that horrible bench was exposed. But then when they're at home, that same bench is playing great, and you have this awesome starting five, and so you have this phenomenal home record. The same is going to apply for the Lakers in games 3 and 4. I think you're going to see a lot more tighter games. You're even going to see stars like LeBron and Anthony Davis probably make more of their shots than they did in San Francisco. So it's just going to be up to the Warriors. I do think they're going to continue the strategy of doubling Steph, because, I mean, if you ask yourself this, like, do you think you have better odds letting Stephen Curry destroy you or letting someone else destroy you? I think the odds are you have a higher probability of winning with someone else destroying you. You're counting on Klay Thompson having another huge game like he did in game 2. I don't know if he's going to do that in both games 3 and 4. The role players that played well. I mean, I really hope Moses Moody steps up in games 3 and 4, at least sees minutes. I loved what I saw from him in games 1 and 2 in this whole postseason. But yeah, so I think it's just going to come down to role players, like being a lot better for the Lakers than they were in games 1 and 2. But with that said, I'm feeling really strongly the Warriors will come out with at least a sweep. They're just a better team. They're like, some teams are just better than others. They're just more talented. They're better shooters. They're better penetrators. They're better defenders. The Warriors defense, I think, is better than the Lakers as well. I don't know what Darvin Ham can do, man. I mean, do you have any ideas? Like, I outside of like maybe trying out Lonnie Walker, Malik Beasley, you can't play zone against the Warriors. Like you can get away with it for like a quarter at the most. People have been talking about like the box and one, for example, but they're already doubling Steph. That's the whole purpose of running a box and one, is to double team a certain player who's destroying you. So I just don't know what's there for him to do. He has a slow team. The comparison, it's such a contrast between the Kings and the Lakers. The Kings are a damn good team. The Lakers, they're an all right team. They're slow, they're big, but they're clunky. And I'm not stressing about them, man. Are you?
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, there are some. I mean, like, for example, Austin Reeves has not gotten it going yet. If he could get it going, that could change things. Now, he was their third best scorer for months. He averaged 17, almost 18 points a game after the All-Star break. So far, though, game 1, he did a nice job on Klay, but he himself scored just 10 points on 4 of 9 shooting. Then in game 2, man, the Warriors really shut him down. I mean, Reeves had 7 points on 3 of 11 shooting, and then Klay lit him up for 30 on 11 of 18 shooting. And you heard Van Gundy in the broadcast say that Reeves looked kind of sluggish. Reeves is now 7 for 20 from 3 in this series, and he's missed a ton of these things short. So I don't know if they want to take Reeves off of Klay, maybe switch him onto Wiggins. Maybe you said that nobody's going to go zone, but maybe the Lakers go zone. But try to just save Reeves for a little bit more of the offensive end, or maybe bring him off the bench and use him as a off the bench scorer. But to me, if there's one element that is about game 1 and 2 that I feel good about, but it also makes me nervous going into game 3, it's Austin Reeves. They've
Yeah.
kept him down. If he gets going, that could hurt.
He'll do better. I don't doubt that. Just because we've talked about him. He's a role player. He's a glorified role player. If he's your third best player in your team, you're not winning a title. Just side note, but I'm sure he's going to do better. The strategy, that's what teams do. Like the Kings did this, and you saw this in games 1 and 2, where teams oftentimes will hide their defensive liabilities on Andrew Wiggins. That doesn't work normally because Wiggins just immediately starts punishing whoever that is. And D'Angelo Russell was who they were trying to hide on Wiggins in games 1 and 2. And they lucked out a little bit because Wiggins isn't putting up huge numbers, largely because he's expending so much energy guarding LeBron. But that's also a huge reason why they dominated game 7 in Sacramento, is because Wiggins was just eating up De'Aaron Fox, attacking him almost every possession when Steph wasn't scoring 1 or 2 of his 50 points. And it wore him down. And De'Aaron Fox had like a weak game 7. I think he finished with 16 points. And that's part of the reason why you see like D'Angelo Russell. I think D'Angelo, for example, is a player that the Lakers are counting on for scoring. And he only gave him 10 points in game 2. And a huge part of that is because he's defending Wiggins. Wiggins has suddenly turned into like this machine, this beast in the post. And every time Wiggins has the ball, he just starts backing these dudes down and just muscling them. And it really takes a lot of energy to try to defend a bigger player like that, the way Wiggins is attacking. So, the Reeves thing, I think he'll score points in LA, man. The home crowd's going to make a huge difference, but I don't see how I'm just feeling very confident about the Warriors, man. I'm looking at this Lakers roster right now, and it's like, I don't know who the third guy is. I really don't, I just don't think they have a third guy that can really make the Warriors pay. I don't see it. I don't know. Do you? I don't
No,
know.
I mean, well, I don't see a third guy, but to me, Anthony Davis has been alternately awesome
Yeah.
and totally, thoroughly mediocre. And
Yeah.
and it's like, you know what? All they really need is they need Anthony Davis to be the awesome guy. I
Yep.
mean, listen to these point totals in the playoffs. This is chronological order for AD,
All right.
okay?
All right.
22, 13, 31, 12, 31, 16, 30, 11.
Oh,
Do you see the pattern there? It's like he
clear.
has one big night, then
Yeah.
he takes the next night off. Then he has another big night. Then he takes the next night off. He was so much more aggressive in game 1 than he was in game 2. To me, if there's one thing I expect Ham to do in game 2 or game 3 is get AD the ball in the post.
Yeah.
Get him in the ball in the post, run more side pick and roll actions, but get him the ball and have him be more aggressive earlier in the game. I just think that he gets alternately passive from time to time, and maybe he just can't bring it every night because physically his body just doesn't allow him to, or maybe it's just something with his mental approach, and he's not nearly as aggressive in some of these games after. But I mean, he's going for 30, then he's going for 10. He's going for 30, he's going for 10. I mean, so they need. I mean, ideally, if you can keep him to 10, that'd be great. But more than anything, I expect the Lakers to go to him early and often in advantageous positions on the floor, and I expect him to be super aggressive.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think largely that pattern is based on the fact that the Lakers just, even though like on paper they have depth, but when it comes to like star talent, they don't have depth. And so Anthony Davis is their team. Like they're living and dying with them. And I don't think Anthony Davis can just keep it at that same pace night in, night out. He's clearly being selective, like in that Memphis series, him and LeBron both were taking nights off. He played 43 minutes in game 1 against the Warriors. And there was no chance in hell. I don't think he's going to do that again this whole series. He's not a durable guy. He's not. And then another player I'm looking at too that just hasn't really played well this whole postseason. And I think it's indicative of him just finally showing his age, is LeBron James. And LeBron, like the Lakers need LeBron to show some semblance of old LeBron. But we haven't seen that. I don't think we've seen that at all in the playoffs. His highest scoring game so far in the postseason has been 28 points. His shooting percentages are not great. He's gone games this postseason where he hasn't made a single three, or is shooting Like in the Memphis series, for example, I'll read you these chronological numbers for his 3-point percentage: 37.5, that's good. Then 12.5, 0, 14.3, 11.1. In game one, he shot 12.5%. So LeBron is struggling too, and they need that from him. They need like the old LeBron for a lot of those minutes. I don't know if he can do that anymore. I mean, he's 38 years old, and yeah, if I'm a Laker fan, like I don't know, I wouldn't have any hope. I would have no hope. Like I look at this series and go, hey, look, man, we did better than last year. We're an old team. We're a player away. You know, we did okay. And I don't know what attitude you can have otherwise, but yeah, I don't see the Warriors losing the series, man. I worst case scenario, you get a split in LA and the Warriors hopefully clean them off as these old men just continue to wither. But I'm with you. I think Anthony Davis, I love that pattern you pointed out because it shows he can't keep it going. He can't sustain it because he's the only dude that's carrying this team. Like LeBron is totally the Robin now, and it's not enough, dude. If you're a Warriors fan,
in this time of the year, it's about who's in their prime, and LeBron's way past the prime.
Yeah.
ESPN Stats and Info had an interesting one though. While the Lakers' lackluster performance in Game 2 might be a cause for concern if you're a Laker fan, history suggests you should be optimistic. He says they're saying the Lakers have won 9. This is historical trends, so it doesn't really mean anything. But the Lakers have won 9 straight games when the series is tied 1-1. Wow. It's the longest such win streak in NBA history. And, of course, they'll be at home tonight for Game 3. What do you think the plan is for GP2? Because the GP2 played a whole lot less minutes and seemed fine with it. I mean, he played 9 minutes in Game 2. Do you think he's a non-factor the rest of this series? Or do you think that was just a Game 2 thing and he'll be back out there?
Well, I mean... what I deduced from that is he's out of the rotation. The only reason why he even got minutes in Game 2 was because of garbage time, and garbage time embodied almost the entire fourth quarter. So you're going to see some minutes on the game log, but he's out of the rotation, and I think a huge part of it is the fact that he's 6'3". You can be as athletic as possible, but 6'3" is 6'3". You're not going to be able to handle dudes who are 6'8", 6'9" consistently. He's not a point guard, so you can't really count on him to facilitate your offense. His offense comes largely from putbacks and corner threes, and so that's very limiting. I just think certain series just don't work out for him. And like last year, for example, they didn't need him at all in the Dallas Mavericks series. It was just not necessary. And they didn't need him much in the Memphis series once Ja was injured. So it just depends. I love GP2, and honestly, if Kerr was playing him, I would have no problem with that. I don't think he's a negative, but my guess is Kerr is picking DiVincenzo over Gary Payne II, largely because DiVincenzo is close in terms of defense to Gary Payne II. I don't think they're the same, but DiVincenzo is a solid defender. But DiVincenzo can also run the point. He can also handle the ball. He can facilitate the offense. He can shoot the three from most parts of the court. It's not just the corner that he's efficient at. So I think Kerr's made a decision there that he's going to pick DiVincenzo for the series. I mean, the playoffs are all about matchups. And then we saw Moses Moody get 25 minutes. And I think that was another choice too. I mean, Moses Moody is just a much bigger, longer player. Moody's been tearing it up, man. I'm so stoked that he got the run that he did in Game 2. I mean, Moody grabs 7 rebounds. I mean, that's 10 points. That's exactly what you need. That's exactly what the Warriors need. So Gary Payne II, I think he's out of the rotation. I honestly don't have a problem with it as long as they're winning. But look, the Lakers also might make adjustments in Game 3 that make you kind of take a step back and go, all right, Gary Payne II's useful again. I mean, maybe the Lakers go small. I mean, maybe they go with a small ball lineup that involves like Malik Beasley and Dennis Schroeder maybe gets more minutes. Maybe Lonnie Walker, the fourth, starts getting more minutes. Gary Payne II would be very valuable guarding players like that. But if Gary Payne II is mostly guarding Rory Hachimura, LeBron James, those players are big dudes, man. So I can understand why Gary Payne II's out. Love the kid, love the guy. I didn't call him a kid; he's 30 years old, but love the guy. But I don't know, man. What do you think? I love to get your opinion on that, but I think he's just out of the rotation and.
Well, I mean, I think if one of the things I've already referenced is what's Ham's adjustment. If Ham's adjustment is to go to Schroeder, then I think you're going to see GP2.
Totally.
I think you'll see him. You'll definitely see him. To me, though, and I like Golden State to take back control of this series tonight because I think what they did defensively against the Lakers in Game 2 is really going to be a hard thing for the Lakers to respond to. I mean, they did not allow the Lakers to get to the rim. They did not allow the Lakers to live at the free throw line.
Yep.
To me, if the Lakers can't get to the rim consistently and don't just live all night at the free throw line, they have no shot. So
Right.
I love the Warriors coming out of Game 2. I think they made an adjustment. I don't think there's lots of adjustments for the Lakers to make back. And I took Warriors in 5, and I'll stay with my Warriors in 5. I know people would be, oh, that's crazy. It's going to go long. It'll be a long series. I know the league wants a long series, but I think the Warriors take back home court. Yeah, they'd never played well in crypto, and Steph doesn't shoot there. This is the playoffs. And I really believe they'll bounce back after losing Game 2 or after coming back 1-1 and take control of the series again and go up 2-1. So I like the Warriors tonight to get Game 3. And all because I don't think the Lakers are going to be allowed to have a parade to the foul line. I just don't believe it's going to happen again.
I hope you're right. I mean, it is an interesting contrast that the Lakers this season were number 1 in free throw attempts. The Warriors were dead last. Part of that is style. Part of that is I do believe that the league gives a special treatment to LeBron James. The why of that could be popularity, Nike, who knows? But yeah, if the referees call a fair game, I'm 100% with you. But I will say this also: if the Warriors do somehow lose Game 3, there's no panic buttons. Like I still think if they lose Game 3, they're going to easily come out and dominate in Game 4. The Lakers just don't have it in them to win 2 straight. I don't see it. Just like that pattern you mentioned with Anthony Davis, but the Warriors do have it in them to win 2 straight. So they just have more depth and the shooting and you know the championship medal. Yeah, man, I'm with you. I'm not like part of me. I'm guilty of this, and I don't want to be, but part of me is like paying very close attention to that Nuggets Sun series, and especially the Nuggets. Dude, the Nuggets scare the shit out of me. That's a damn good team. I know you picked them to win the West. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I have a hard time. I can't argue with you against that right now, man. I like if I'll say this: if the Warriors, and again, I hate that we're looking ahead, but that's how confident I am that the Warriors are going to be the Lakers. If the Warriors play Kuminga and JaMychal, or at a minimum, at least get JaMychal involved, they have to have one of those 2 players playing real minutes, and Moody too. I love that Moody's a part of this. If they do that, they can beat anyone. They can beat anyone. They're the favorites again. It's what's been missing, in my opinion, this whole season is Bob Myers' vision of seeing Moody, Kuminga, and JaMychal Green play. That's why he added these either added these players to the roster or didn't add other players, because he expected those 2 youngsters in Moody and Kuminga to play. He signed JaMychal Green for a very legitimate reason. So if those guys play, at least 2 of the 3 play real minutes for the rest of the postseason, the Warriors will win the whole damn thing. But if we see these stubborn Kerr moments where he's sticking to his tried and true and going with the small ball crap again, dude, the Nuggets going to wipe the floor with the Warriors, man. What do you think?
Yeah, personally, I think the Warriors Nuggets series is more about this series. If the Warriors can get quickly dispatch of the Lakers and beat them in 5 like I predicted, while maybe Phoenix comes back in that series and pushes Denver a little bit, that will help. The Warriors. I can't believe that the Warriors are going to go to the conference finals and just get destroyed. But to me, it's all about how they, if the Lakers take a pound of flesh away from Golden State in this thing and really challenge them, and this thing is some super knockdown, drag out 7-gamer. I don't buy it. Golden State doesn't have enough. The Nuggets have too many guys in their prime. They don't have anybody who's super young. They don't have anybody who's super old. I mean, it's just a team that's all in their prime, absolutely ready-made to play right now. But I gotta think the league much prefers Golden State and the star power of them defending their title. I think that's a much better finals TV show. So I'm gonna say the Warriors are gonna put the Lakers away quickly here, and we're gonna see a fresh Warrior team in the conference finals. And I'll say this: a fresh Warrior team against Denver gives me a much better feeling than a dragging Warrior team. And I think it all starts in this Game 3. The Warriors win this Game 3. I think the Lakers are questioning themselves, and it's a quick series, and the Warriors get to take a breath, gear up for Denver, and then it's anybody's series. But if they wind up giving away game one to Denver because they're in this knockdown drag out with the Lakers and they couldn't focus for game one, kind of like the game one of this series after the last 7-gamer against Sacramento, that doesn't bode well. Golden State cannot go through gauntlet 7-gamer against Sacramento, gauntlet 7-gamer against the Lakers, and then still have enough to get by Denver and enough to get by the team in the East. If they're gonna win the title, and if they're even gonna go to the finals, I think they need to make quick work of the Lakers, and it starts in Game 3 tonight.
Yeah, I made like I don't want to sound arrogant saying this, but I mean there's a reason why I host Locked On Warriors. I nail most of what I say, and I'm proud of that. I do my research, but I did miss on your show, man. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I thought the Nuggets were not a deep team. That's what I saw before the season started. I was wrong about that, dude. Bruce Brown has been an amazing fit.
Yeah, he's been good.
Drafted out of Kansas. I forgot his name.
Brown.
Yeah,
it's Brown. It looks like Braun, but it's pronounced Brown.
He's good. He's really good. And so the Nuggets depth is legitimate. I mean, they also got who they get as their backup center. I forgot they got someone else too to back up Jokic. Who was it? I don't have the roster in front of me right now, but my point is that the Nuggets are legit, man. They scare me. But I'm also with you too in that hopefully gives the Warriors added motivation to finish the Lakers off faster, so they can rest and be better prepared for that series. But the Lakers are favored by 3 in this game. What are your thoughts on that?
I like Golden State. State. To me, the Lakers have to get big. They got to get good numbers from 2 guys, and that's Rui Hachimura, who was good in Game 2. I mean, he was really good. He had 21. He was fantastic. And Austin Reeves. They can't do this without Reeves and Hachimura. And I think, the Warriors, Reeves can't get away in the half court from Golden State. So he doesn't have the athleticism to free himself up. Hachimura already had his 21-point game. I like Golden State. I like Golden State to win Game 3 and take control of the series.
Dude, it did bode well for the Warriors that Hachimura scored 21 and they still lost by 27 points. Like that. That's awesome. I'm with you. The Warriors they're just the better team. Some series, matchups just don't favor one side, and this series does not favor the Lakers. I honestly believe I think the Nuggets are probably their biggest test. I think if they beat the Nuggets, they got a title, man. They got their repeat. I don't see the Sixers or the Celtics being the threat that the Celtics are not as good as last year. I
love the Warriors Knicks.
Oh, would love
How great would that be? That would be incredible. Cy, so what's your prediction tonight? What's the final score going to be, and who's the key player?
That's a tough one, man. This is really unpredictable. I'm gonna ride with you, man. I'm gonna say Warriors will win this game just because I think they sense how important this is as well. Even though the Lakers are it's gonna be a very close game. I would say Warriors +3 is a good bet. Warriors money line is a good bet. I'll say Warriors win this in a close one, by 5. And I think Stephen Curry is going to finally end his struggles in LA, which is really weird. He's been interviewed about that. For people unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, Stephen Curry historically does not shoot the ball well when they play the Lakers on the road, not the Clippers. Which plays in the same arena. He does okay there, but for some reason the Lakers, he doesn't shoot well. And we've discussed this. If it's the lighting or whatever. I think that ends, man. I think Stephen Curry is going to finally end that ridiculous slump that he's had at Staples/crypto, and he's going to light it up. So I'm going to say Steph has a big game, Warriors by 5. What do you think?
I mean, it's funny. They said Barry Bonds going into the 2002 playoffs never did it in October, and he had a huge postseason. You haven't till you have, right? But I expect Steph Curry to have an incredible performance. I think Golden State. This is where this series pivots. It pivots from okay, they're 1-1 to now the Warriors won Game 3. Now the Warriors win Game 4. Now the Warriors put them away by winning 4 straight. This Laker team's not as. It's a bad matchup for the Warriors, but they're not as good as Sacramento, and it's going to show by the end of this series. So I tell people what you got going on tonight after the game on Locked On. Of course, we'll be on tonight after the game, with the post game on the Krueg show with Frank Red Fred, Carl Foster, Bay Area Baller, JD. Cy joins us after his Locked On show. Sometimes Danny as well.
Rye,
But
Rye, is he coming?
and Rye, don't forget Rye or Smitty. What do you got going tonight after the game on Locked On?
I don't know who my guest is yet. It's not going to be Kylan. She's not available. So it might be Kevin Dana. It might just be me solo. But yeah, join Locked On Warriors. Follow the program on Twitter at Locked On Dubs. That's when we announce our start times and who the guests are. And then yeah, immediately as soon as I'm done with that, I'll be jumping on with you, brother, to continue the party. So, but yeah, Locked On Warriors. Subscribe, please. Would always welcome that. And thanks as always for having me on, Larry.
Oh, dude, always a pleasure. Your wealth of knowledge. Go Warriors. Go up 2-1. Can't wait to see it tonight. Join us afterwards on the Krueg Show for the post-game. Peace.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer.